Chapter 670 to 671 Hokage Building. Kuroto calmly sat on his seat and glanced at all the people attending this meeting. The former Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Elder Utatane Koharu, Tsunade Hime, Sanin Jiraiya, the patriarchs of major shinobi clans such as Uchiha, Hyuga, Inoshika Cho, the captains and leaders of various important departments such as Anbu, Intelligence, Medical, and so on, were also present at the meeting. As for Kuroto, he participated in this meeting as the principal of Konoha Ninja Academy. Oh, and the meeting. It was organized by Elder Hiruzen as soon as he returned to the village after the expedition. As everyone observed the solemn expression on the face of Elder Hiruzen, everyone felt that something bad had happened. Elder Utatane was the one who broke the silence and questioned him. "Sarutobi, what happened?" At Elder Utatane's inquiry, Elder Hiruzen took a deep breath, then told the details of what transpired at the volcano. As everyone present at the meeting became aware of what actually happened at the volcano, their expressions turned solemn, and a silence dawned in the meeting room. The most angered person was obviously Elder Hiruzen himself, followed by Elder Utatane. Both of them were burning with rage. As for the others, some were shocked, some were stupefied, while others were calculating the impact of this incident on them and their clans. After a while, Hiruzen broke the silence of the meeting room and questioned, "What are your opinions on this matter?" Hizashi hesitated, then asked, "Sandaime-sama, is this news really true? Did Danzo-sama really do such a thing?" Hiruzen nodded with a helpless expression. "Unfortunate as it may, what I have told everyone here is indeed true." As soon as Hiruzen received information sent by Kakashi, he immediately summoned a few hundred Konoha shinobi and led the army toward that particular volcano. Unfortunately, by the time he arrived there, whatever was happening there was already completed, and the volcano had already collapsed after erupting. He and other Konoha shinobi saw only death and destruction there. Seeing the corpses of hundreds of Konoha shinobi and no sign of Kakashi or Danzo, Hiruzen was worried, especially because he had no idea of what actually happened there. After that, he did what he had to and led the shinobi squads in search of Danzo and Kakashi. After a while of the search operation, they finally found the unconscious Kakashi and nearly 1,000 unconscious but alive Konoha shinobi with him. Although he wasn't sure why everyone was unconscious, the fact that they were all alive greatly relieved him. But there was still one problem. There were no signs of Danzo. The search operation continued for the next few hours until the search unit was able to capture a few root shinobis. The root shinobis were mercilessly tortured until they finally confessed the details of what actually transpired at the volcano. After collecting all the information piece by piece, the entire story became clear to Hiruzen. The former Hokage was shocked to learn that Shimura Danzo actually held a Kekkei Genkai absorption ritual inside the volcano, and he had gathered those 1,500 Konoha shinobi outside the volcano to use them as chakra sources. And none of those 1,500 Konoha shinobi would have survived if it wasn't for Kakashi to rescue them. Learning all this, Sandaime was already in disbelief, but the news that he received next made his mind blank. Danzo, who successfully completed the ceremony, actually defected and left the Land of Fire. Shimura Danzo, the Hokage agent, and the former leader of the Root Division of the Anbu defected. Such a ridiculous thing actually happened. Although Danzo was only Hokage agent, neither was he officially coronated as the Godaime Hokage, nor was his face engraved on the Hokage rock. However, he was the highest political authority in Konoha. So he was practically the village's unofficial Hokage. And he actually defected? The faces of everyone in the meeting were in disbelief upon learning this news. No one ever imagined that such a thing would actually happen, especially considering Danzo's character and his loyalty towards Konoha. Sandaime, who has been a childhood friend of Danzo, never imagined that one day Danzo would actually defect from Konoha. Uchiha patriarch, was the first one to recover from shock and inquired, "Sandaime-sama, do we have any information as to where Danzo escaped after his defection?" Jiraiya nodded with a sigh. "Kumogakure. According to the information Jiraiya has received from his information network, Danzo met up with the Yondaime Raikage and his entourage around the borders of the land of, fire, and together both of them left in the direction of the land of lightning." Smash. Tsunade smashed the table in anger. "Raikage dared to take Danzo to the land of lightning. Does he want to start a war?" Elder Koharu echoed from the side. "I am not sure about war, but they must at least give us an explanation." At this time, Nara Shikaku said with a solemn expression, "Our current priority is not to discuss the actions of Raikage and Kumogakure. We have to focus on the most important matter before us, and that is the leadership of Konoha. The village can't function without a leader. Since Danzo has defected, he can no longer be called the leader of the village. This means we must choose a new Hokage, or someone to fill up the role of the leader." Everyone agreed with Nara Shikaku's words, and after a while of thinking, all of them, without any difference, looked in the direction of Elder Hiruzen. While Konoha is facing such a complex situation, the best and safest choice would be to let Hiruzen, the most experienced person here, hold the power in his hands. With that, voting began, and without any twists and turns, Elder Hiruzen was reinstated as Konoha's Hokage. After reassuming the Hokage's position, the first order he issued was to propose negotiation with Kumogakure. The negotiation team was led by Elder Koharu and immediately planned to depart for the Land of Lightning. After that, further instructions were issued, and the meeting was concluded. One thing to note is that there was no mention of a Matsukami or Orochimaru whatsoever in the meeting. This means that anyone who was aware of their involvement died except Danzo and the two people in question. And unless Danzo makes this news public, the involvement of a Matsukami and Orochimaru is going to remain buried underneath the ashes of that volcano. While thinking about these things, Kuroto left the Hokage building and made his way toward the Konoha Hospital. As Kuroto entered the Konoha Hospital, he saw the increased rush inside. Because of the sudden influx of nearly 1,000 injured shinobi and around 500 dead bodies being prepared for the burial, the Konoha Hospital is in chaos at this moment. Looking at the saddened villagers crying over the loss of their loved ones, Kuroto felt guilty. When he and Orochimaru designed the Kekkei Genkai absorption ritual and chakra transmission array for Danzo, neither he nor Orochimaru planned to sacrifice the lives of those 1,500 Konoha shinobis. Both he and Orochimaru expected that the chakra support provided by 1,500 Konoha shinobi should be more than enough. As such, there wouldn't be any problem of lack of chakra, so obviously their lives wouldn't be in danger. However, both he and Orochimaru were proven wrong during the ritual. Especially Kuroto. He never expected that the requirements of chakra would be so high that Danzo would become crazy and turn the chakra transmission array beyond the maximum limit, endangering the lives of the shinobis standing on the array. The thing is, even if it was Danzo who sucked the chakra of all those deceased Konoha shinobis, Kuroto and Orochimaru have equal unshirkable responsibility for their deaths, for they are the ones who designed the damned thing. Given Orochimaru's character, he won't be least affected by the deaths of these people. However, Kuroto feels guilty, but at the same time, he is more determined because he knows weak people are always at the mercy of the strong. They have to dance at the whims of strong people. As such, in the plans of strong ones, the weak ones are crushed, trampled upon, and sacrificed without any regard. Kuroto has also personally experienced such a life after graduating from the academy, and in his early teens, therefore, he never wants to go back to those days. Moreover, Kuroto can't allow the sacrifice of these 500 dead shinobi to go to waste. He has to give their deaths at least some meaning. This is why Kuroto has decided to work on Project Godhood with all his heart and see it to the end. With such determination, he continued to walk through the corridors of the Konoha Hospital and came to the room that is assigned to Yui. Of course, Yui was not sitting in her cabin. She was obviously too busy to be resting here because of the sudden influx of Konoha shinobi, and Kuroto chose not to disturb her. Instead, he patiently waited for her to come here. And Kuroto had to wait for a damn long time for her to return. Yui came to her cabin at 3 o'clock in the morning. As she entered her cabin to change her clothes and catch a quick sleep, she was surprised to find Kuroto sitting on a chair by the window and reading something. After noticing him, she questioned, "Kuroto-kun, when did you come here?" Kuroto answered with a smile, "Just a while ago." Yui sighed. "You have been waiting here since evening, right? You know you could have directly come to find me instead of waiting here." Kuroto smiled and didn't answer. Some things aren't required to be said because they are better left unsaid. Seeing Kuroto's smile, Yui shook her head helplessly and said, "All right." Then she closed the door and asked, "Is there something you needed?" Kuroto nodded. "Sort of. I needed a favor," Yui muttered. "I see. I'll definitely help you, but..." Here she paused and said, "If it's nothing of emergency, would it be fine if I listen after a bath? I am extremely tired right now and want to take a hot bath right this moment. So..." But she suddenly stopped, thought of something, and excitedly said, "Or wait, why don't you join me? You can tell me all the details while we soak in the hot water." Seeing Yui's tired expression at the same time, her beaming smile, Kuroto couldn't help but nod. "Now that I think about it, it's been quite a while since we have spent some quality time together, all right? Let's do that." Yui bobbed her head. "Yes, it's been quite a while." With that, Kuroto folded back the scroll he was reading and said to Yui, "Sort out your things, and then we can leave when you are ready. Using this occasion, I will take you to a place I found not too long ago. That place has some good hot springs. You will be able to relax there." Yui frowned. "But Kuroto-kun, we can't go too far. The number of patients at the hospital is a lot at this time. And if I were to disappear for a long time, then it will be a problem. Tsunade-sama will also..." "Scold me," Kuroto reassured Yui. "I know. Don't worry about it. We aren't going too far. I mean, we are, but we can return instantly?" Yui asked in confusion. "What do you mean?" Kuroto smiled and said, "Wouldn't it be better to directly experience it?" Although not sure how, out of trust in Kuroto, she nodded. "All right, if you say so." With that, Yui went to sort out her things, as well as bring along a set of clothes that she would wear after the bath. Meanwhile, Kuroto started the preparations from his end. After 10 minutes, the two of them were prepared and ready to disappear. Kuroto took out a giant scroll and put it on the floor. Seeing the scroll, Yui narrowed her eyes. "Isn't this a scroll for signing contracts with the summoning creatures?" Kuroto nodded. "Yes, and you are going to sign your name in it too." She nodded obediently. "Okay," albeit in confusion. With that, Yui bit her finger, then used the blood to sign her name on it, then further marked it with her fingerprints. And the contract was formally established. "It's done," muttered Kuroto and added, "Now we are all set to go." At this time, Yui asked, "Kuroto-kun, are we going to use reverse summoning to go to that place?" "Indeed," nodded Kuroto, then explained, "The place we are going to is located near the seas of the Land of Lightning. It's a volcanic island that I discovered during one of my Anbu missions. After I discovered it, I made some changes to it, so at this point, the only way to go there and come out is by the means of reverse summoning jutsu, and that is only possible if someone has signed the contract I designed." Yui blinked her eyes and looked at Kuroto in amazement. Kuroto smiled, seeing Yui's shocked expression. "Don't worry about it. It wasn't a big deal." And after reassuring her, he said to her, "Now, that you have signed the summoning contract, let's use the reverse summoning jutsu to go there." Yui nodded. "Okay." The two then held one of their hands together, and using their other hand, the two weaved the hand signs of the reverse summoning jutsu and... poof. And off they disappeared from the Konoha hospital.